I think something else that's interesting is this idea, specifically in the Calvinist and in the Reform community, which I know you've ran in, and we've kind of all been
had our soiree.
Yeah. The idea of choice, right? The idea of choice and the idea of will. Yeah. Right. And what are choices ultimately, right? Like we didn't pick where we were born, when we were born, to whom family we were born. Yet we still push this, like, well, you just need to pull yourself up from the, make better choices. And so I think that's an interesting concept, because what choices, you can only make the choices that are options for you. You know what I mean? And so, like, I just watched this movie. It's on Netflix. You would probably really enjoy it. It's called Beats. And it's about a producer kid in the South Side of Chicago. Yeah. And he watches his sister get murdered. And then she was a producer, he was a producer. And then he has this gnarly PTSD where he can't leave the house. And his mom's super overprotective. And what choices, you know what I mean? Like, choices do you really have to make? You grew up in South Central. In the 80s, in the middle of or 80s and 90s, in the middle of the crack epidemic, in the middle of gangbanging. You're a son of a Black Panther. Yeah. Talk about those choices for me.
Yeah. That's good, man. I was gonna comment on something else, but I'm too tired because I don't remember what it was.
And by all odds, you quote unquote made it. Yeah. Right. You became a teacher. You got your degree, markers. Yeah. Right. You made it. You're an entrepreneur. Yeah. But talk about choices.
So, speaking of which, my father made choices that affected me. One, they stayed married. You know, I mean, up until for my formative years, if you will. You know what I mean? Like they split when I started high school, but I had a dad. You know what I'm saying? And I just happened to be born of the child of the sibling that didn't bang. It's not my uncles. My uncles didn't make the choices my dad made. You know what I'm saying? My aunt married into a family that was down the street, and they were rolling 60 Crips. You know what I'm saying? But the one that she married in that family was the one that didn't bang. You know what I'm saying? That, like you said, I had no hand in that. So when I went to go hang out with that family, you know, my uncle,
who did bang?
My uncle by marriage was the one that didn't. Okay. But he was with his brothers, obviously my other uncles. Okay. Who did, but they all understood that, you can't take Jason. Like, we gonna go here, but Jason can't go. Like, you know, his daddy will kill us. You know what I'm saying? So, like, yeah, I was around these things, but I was shown different. You know, that, like you said, I had no hand in. I was shown different, you know. And when you can imagine a different future, where I understand that there's a lot of young men in my life growing up that just couldn't imagine a different future. Wow. I could, you know what I'm saying? I hopped the bus, you know, rode my bike to Santa Monica, to Venice Beach. I saw guys spinning on their heads. I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. My father was a Black Panther, so like education was important in my house. You know what I'm saying? So I just had this exposure to other narratives, so I could imagine a different future. You know, and it's not to say you take somebody like a Nipsey Hussle, who was not too far, not too many blocks away from us. I mean, his parents are immigrants, so he went the gang route, but he still could imagine a different future because of his parents. You know what I'm saying? And he made, you know, other choices. I chose music. I chose art. You know what I mean? Because I felt like it just resonated deeper and different. I remember the specific moments of being like, I'm not cut out for this gang life. Right. I'm not gonna do this. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. And I knew what that meant. That meant that, you know, through middle school, I ain't gonna have the protection that other kids gonna have. You know, so it meant that I'm gonna lose a couple pairs of shoes every once in a while. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have to defend my backpack walking home one day. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just becomes a part of it. You know, and you're like, I only have this life. And like you said, like, I was given cards. I'm gonna work the hell out of these cards. I mean, like, you know, and in that sense, I look at the Jordan Petersons or the Ben Shapiros and saying, what makes you think we're not making the best choices with the cards we do? You think we don't know the cards,
the variables that you have?
We know our variables, and I'm doing my best with them. I also know what's out of my hands. You know what I'm saying? And so do you. So does he. You know what's in your hands. You know what's not in your hands. Don't just because I'm aware of what's not in my hands doesn't mean I'm not aware of what's in my hands.
That doesn't mean that's a victim mentality.
No, I just understand that I know my playing card and I know the game board. Yeah. And I'm just, you act like we're not on a game board. Right. I could see the game board.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
That's good. Man, there's the idea of entrepreneurship. Yeah. Where I've seen you from a distance grind, you know what I'm saying? Starting multiple businesses. Yeah. Guys like Mers, you know, I think it's one of the most tangible ways out. You know what I'm saying? I think it's one of the most tangible ways out, if you will. Education and entrepreneurship. Yeah. Right. And now there's plenty of that. How have you blended education? You're very self-aware about the hands you're dealt. Yeah. Right. And you're very educated, and then you're also entrepreneurial, and you're also creative. Yeah. All of those three seem like they can be in opposition of each other. Yeah. But you've been able to be an artist, a poet, a speaker. You saw the vision in your wife. Yeah. You know, to create a podcast with her as the star, which is beautiful. Yeah. On the podcast, like, explain to me education, entrepreneurship, creativity, and why don't you see those as conflicting? Because I think most people do.
Great. Yeah. It's like leaning into my strengths, and a lot of those things are just necessity. It's like I remember in high school when you're about to go get your first job, right? And people say, "Oh man, don't work fast food. It sucks." But you know, at some point you may have to work fast food. I was like, "No, I don't. This is how you fix it. You don't apply there." That's easy. Yeah. If I don't apply to a fast food restaurant, I'll never work there. Right. So I was like, "There's plenty of other places I can be." So I just had these lines of things like, "This is the life I know. If it's in my hands, I refuse to do this. I want to do this." So for first, it was like I refuse to work in fast food. And then it was like, after that, I was like, well, I refuse to work in retail. I just don't want to do that. I don't know. Then I was like, I refuse to wear a uniform. Then I was like, I refuse to have a desk. I don't want a job where I have to have a desk. And then finally, I was like, I refuse to work for someone. Wow. It just was these like steps. Yeah, that's hard. Like, before that, it was like, I want to make my own schedule. I refuse to be a slave to somebody else's schedule. Yes. Then I was finally like, you know what? That means I have to work for myself. Yes. This is the life I want. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But in all of those things, because of, I guess, upbringing, you know, in those environments is like, hard work is just not an option. Like it's a non-negotiable. Yep. I have no problem working hard. I have no problem cleaning toilets. I have no problem cleaning a garage because it's just work, right? And in that sense, again, I'm making my own schedule. Yep. Like, I will come do this because I need to do it. Not because you're telling me to, it's because I need to do it. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So when you have that, so in me, it was that. It was like you're creating, again, I keep going back to this, I could imagine a world. I could imagine a future. Yeah. And in that, it's like, oh, this is what you got to do to have that, right? Yeah. So if I don't work for nobody else, that means I'm the one that got to do it, right? There's nobody else coming for me, right? Right? Yeah. Okay. Then then you just draw people around you that can aid in that, and I don't have to be the best at that thing. You find people that are better than you in other things. Let them do that. Like, I don't, you know, there was a time where I had a show in Knoxville and I booked a flight to Nashville because I'm not organized. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So you find somebody that is much more organized than I am. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, okay, well, this is what it takes to have that person around. That means I need to generate this much more money per month so that I can have this to generate that. Yeah. Okay, then what does that take? It just takes work. It's at the end of the day, for me, it's all just work. Yep. Right? And so if it's just work, enjoy it. Yeah. Make it beautiful. Make it creative. Make it awesome. Make it entrepreneurial. Yeah. Whatever it is, because it's all just work. Yeah. You know, so that's me. That's how I see it. everybody has the same 24 hours.
Yeah.
And I just don't want to give 8 of mine to somebody else.
That's good.
Yeah.
I love that entrepreneurial thing, man, and I think it's so crucial. I think here's what I'm seeing is I'm seeing we talked a lot about imagining, helping.
Yeah.
Like you had an imagination to see something different for yourself.
Yeah.
I think we're in this intersection in society where I finally, and I'm hoping this is true, where I'm starting to see white men and women of faith who sincerely don't want us to keep having these issues.
Yeah.
Right. And so you're like, I'm getting DMs from my white pastor friends of like the latest police brutality issue, like the woman in Phoenix with her baby. Right? Yeah. And I'm starting to see for the first time white people get really pissed off about police brutality. Yeah. Right. Like I can't believe this is happening.
Yeah.
It is like those that have been close to the black community know like this has been happening. Yeah. You know what I mean? From Rodney King and beyond, and the relationship is volatile between law enforcement. But imagination, right? And I think one thing tend to change when white people get really pissed off about something.
Very true.
Right? And two, if they're getting pissed, if they're sincerely caring about what's going on in the black community, and they're going beyond than just the typical like, well, they have to be genetically inferior, or they just made a bunch of bad choices. No, there's a third option.
Yeah.
Right? How can white brothers and sisters in the faith support, be allies, right? And I think it tends to be with imagination. I think it tends to be like you're not needed to give an account and explain black issues. You know what I'm saying? That's not my job. I want to let men of color do that and women of color do that. But I feel like there's opportunity for unity. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just curious to hear your thoughts on that in terms of like, if the core is imagination, right? How do we as a community do that?
Man, that's a good question, man. I think there's a part of me that like echoes my man Science Mike over at the Liturgist. That's like, hey man, white privilege, white supremacy, racism is a white issue, and so it's like talks amongst yourselves. Like, you know what I'm saying? Y'all gotta figure that out. You know what I'm saying?
And I did, by the way, when my pastor friend sent me that video in Phoenix of that woman, I said, are you gonna call the police about this? Because that's what you need to do. That's in your city. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you pissed? If you're pissed off, call the police about it. And he was like, well, I just don't know who the officer is. They won't release the officer. I was like, it doesn't matter. Like and then like a day or two later, they put the black police chief on the news and was like, I'm just as outrageous as you are. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, there it is. You answered your own question. It's like, okay, word. Did that bother you? Is that an outrage? Is that a world you don't want to live in? Okay. What would you do if it was your family?
Yeah.
Okay, then do that.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying?
That's good.
You know,
it's very, very simple.
It's pretty, it's pretty simple. Like, you know, so I think there's that. Like, if you were in a scenario like, without being patriarchal or sort of like, you know, pejorative or paternalistic, you know what I'm saying, if you will. But at the same time, like, it's not hard to, empathy's not hard to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you put yourself in that situation, and what would you desire? You know what I'm saying?
Even if you don't have access to patient black people that'll explain these things to you.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the reasons why I'm having these conversations that I want to have is that I had amazing access. I had mentors that cared for me enough to be patient with me. Not every white person has that, but they do now vicariously through videos and conversations like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think, you know, your friend network helps, you know what I'm saying? That in the way that, like you said, like you have access, but that's because you were just a homie. You know what I'm saying? Nobody said, we're going to take this guy, put him under our wing and teach him the ways. You just a homie. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think that, like, that goes a long way. I mean, I feel like that, you know, to use a parallel, like, I feel like that with like women's issues. You just have enough friends around you, you know what I'm saying, that you just start noticing their experience. You know what I mean? And then it becomes super easy. You know what I'm saying? Like when, you know, or even like homosexual friends, like when someone cracks the joke or you're talking with the homies and he's like, oh, pause. And you're like, You don't have to. You don't have to say that, dog. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like not laughing at that joke. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, man, you just threw the other homie under the bus by saying that. You feel me? Or like, you know, the casual addressing of, like, you know, a female body or whatever. Like, hey, yeah, I don't really talk like that. You know what I'm saying? Like that, like,
because you humanize it, right?
Yeah.
It's one thing to be like, oh, that's gay, or pause.
Yeah.
But then when the homie is gay, or you have
it's a different story.
It's a different story.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whether it doesn't even really matter what you feel about that thing.
No.
If a girl is being immodest, so therefore she's triggering me to say something. Right? No. Like, that's a human.
Yeah.
And that should diffuse that thing.
Well, that's not your place anyway, homie. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, how about that? How about it's not your place? You know what I mean? So I feel like in a lot of times that's kind of how it could play out. You're just like, well, in the places where you have influence, just have influence. You know, it's not really revolutionary. You know.
Yeah. That's good, man. I appreciate you black-splaining on this episode. And again, my heart with a lot of these conversations is for people to just to think different. You know what I'm saying? Man. Just to think different. And I think the more we can learn from each other, the more we can talk, I think the better it's going to be. And this stuff isn't going to be solved overnight. And I don't even know if it's going to be solved, you know what I'm saying? But I do know once we start understanding each other's experiences and just basic history, like it's way less, it becomes way less harder to create caricatures. Yeah. You know what I mean? So any final thoughts, closing thoughts?
I got to use the bathroom. That's my final thought.
That's the final thought.
Yeah. No, man. I appreciate you doing this, bro.
Word up. Yo, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure you guys are following Prop Hip Hop on all platforms. Check out his podcast,
Red Couch.
And man, be intentional about talking to someone that's different than you. Yeah, dude. And asking questions not with your own answers in mind, but to genuinely try to understand someone else's perspective. We appreciate you guys. Peace.